What's good, WWE 2K fam? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a pretty eventful last few weeks as WWE 2K season has officially kicked off. We're getting a pretty decent amount of information along with some actual gameplay. And I don't mean the prettied up old animation trailers they were feeding us at first, but legit gameplay. And for me, this is what matters most, man. When it comes to this series, I am gameplay over everything, no question. And from what I saw in the Ringside Report video, I can finally say that I'm officially excited for this game. One of the first things I noticed off jump was just how much better the hit detection was. There wasn't a lot of wild and crazy swings and whips that we're used to seeing in 2K20. And what's even more impressive is the guy being hit actually reacted in a realistic way, making hits just feel more solid. Selling in general appears to have gotten a noticeable upgrade. I know selling and hit detection has been like a sore spot for this series for a long time, so respect to 2K for working on those legacy issues. I do wish they would have put more emphasis on the selling of limb damage, because in the video, Ray's and Priest's bodies were pretty banged up, so it would have been cool to see them play to some of those injuries a little more, and maybe even have some of those injuries affect their abilities in ring somehow. But overall, I think things look really good, and it's a definite improvement over the last game, so I'll take it. The controls seem really interesting. Definitely different from what we're used to. Unfortunately, there was a lot that they didn't show about the controls and how they translate across some of the more advanced gameplay mechanics. They did mention that the Dragon Carry and the Irish Whip will be performed out of a grapple now. So that's probably going to take some getting used to, especially the Irish Whip, but hopefully that just means, we'll get some cool Irish Whip sequences and reversals. They also talked about the many defensive options that will be available to players. Now, some of this I'm still a little bit confused on. I think I understand how breakers work and matching your opponent's button presses to counter, combos and grapples. But as far as reversals, blocking and dodging, I feel like they didn't really explain these with the level of detail that they should have. Because honestly, going off the information that we've been given, why would I even choose to block or dodge if I can just reverse? Especially since they decided to remove the reversal limit, which I personally like this change because I think it creates a better back and forth match flow. But if dodging and blocking aren't really incentivized, then they basically kind of come off as empty features. I hope that's not the case, but I don't think they spent enough time explaining the advantages and disadvantages of these new mechanics. I've seen some concern within the community because in the video they seem to place the heavy emphasis on strikes and combos, and at first glance it does seem like they're taking more of a fighting game approach to the controls and gameplay, given the impressions that they are moving away from the simulation style. Now I still think it's a little too early to make that assessment. For all we know, the heavy strike focus was solely for that video. But I can understand the concern, especially, if you are a fan of the simulation style. They also mentioned that players would be able to come up with their own combos. I do wonder if there's such a thing as grapple combos where we can string together multiple grapples. I think this would be cool, to be able to pull off a series of German suplexes or an Eddie Guerrero style like Three Amigos as a combo. But I guess that's probably something we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to find out. The stun meter was another interesting addition to gameplay. It seems to have taken the place of the reversal debuffs, where if you hit a major reversal on your opponent, then they're unable to counter you for a while. Personally, I like this better because they kind of make you have to work for it. To get your opponent in a stunned state, and your reward is just being able to pull off moves without being interrupted. So this sounds like a pretty cool feature, as opposed to the whole reversal debuff thing. Overall, I think this video was dope, and it was a great introduction into the gameplay mechanics. Hopefully in future Ringside Reports, we'll learn, a lot more about the controls and gameplay. Because as I mentioned earlier, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff to cover. I do have some questions and concerns. Things like, have they made any changes to submission mechanics and gameplay? I mean, because if we're being honest, man, this has been one of the most disappointing aspects of gameplay, in my opinion, man. Submissions have not really been getting much love over the last few years. I mean, we've gotten the same dull gameplay with basically no depth or options to the players. They seem to kind of be lost on what makes submission gameplay exciting. I mean, it's more than just, the little mini games, the cat and mouse mini games, whatever mini game, button mashing, whatever. I mean, it's much more than that. So, I really hope they stepped it up, at least in some form. Another thing is, are there any new additions to the drag and carry system? I mean, have they added new carry positions? Is there any new functionality with the drags? I mean, I think these things should be a lot more functional when it comes to positioning. I mean, if I drag a downed opponent over to the ropes, I should, have more options, to perform certain things. Like maybe I want to choke them on the bottom rope, doing an environmental grapple or something like that, or maybe drape them over the second ropes, or maybe even pull them to the outside. Like, I don't understand why this hasn't become a thing yet. Is limb targeting still a thing in this game? I mean, how about chain wrestling, OMG moments? Has there been any changes to taunts? Any new skills or paybacks? Any new weapon mechanics outside of, the wear and tear thing that they showed us? I mean, these are just some of the things I would really like to know, man. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video, man. Please do me a favor. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I truly thank you for checking out the video. You could have been doing anything else, but you decided to give me a minute of your time, and I'm truly grateful and I appreciate it. So until next time, later 2K fam.